Okay, here's our second easy puzzle. Let's see, starting with the 9s. Again, the 9s are not loving me on this particular easy. So that one's blocked. I know this 9 therefore has to be in that row, which means that these 2 rows are blocked and this 9 has to be in that row. Don't know which one yet. I do know that that's blocked, so this has to be one of those 2, but I'm not going to bother filling in anything else yet. Find the easy numbers first is my theory. So we have this blocked from that, this blocked from that. So I will note that this is blocked here, so I'll note that. This one's blocked, so I'll note that. Other than that, not a lot to say with the 8s. This doesn't look like a lot, but it actually answers a question. So this blocks that one, and this blocks this entire column. Because this one's blocked and these 2 are blocked, it forces us to recognize that that's in that column, which then means that that blocks out that entire column and that entire column. So we're actually able to place one, which is nice. This blocks that out, which means that it has to be in this column. So again, it answers a decent amount of questions. On to the 6s. Now that's what we want to see. Quite a few 6s. Let's see if they answer questions though. These block those rows, that column's blocked. So we know we have a 6 in one of those. These block those columns, that blocks that row. So we know we have one in one of those. And then this column, this row is blocked. So that's one of those 3, but that helps you see the pattern. Those 3 belong together. This one's both of these rows along with that one, and both of these columns along with that one. So didn't give us, the 7 actually gave us more information than that. The 5s are going to help us though. These 2 columns are blocked. This is blocked. That's our 5. This is blocked due to this 5, which forces us to recognize that the 5 is in that column. That's helpful because now these 2 columns are blocked. These 2 rows, oops, are blocked, which means that 5's there. These 2 columns are blocked, so that 5 is there. Now, we have the 7, 5 thing. Do you see the 5 has to be in one of those 2? The 7 also has to be in one of those 2, which means we don't know which one's the 5 and which one's the 7, but we do know that the 7 and the 5 for this entire column is in that row. So we can treat it as we already know that the 7 and the 5 for that column are placed. Not exactly their place, but we do know that they're in those 2 boxes for sure. So that's nice when you have boxes that are set by numbers like that. When you have 2 numbers in the exact same 2 boxes that they have to be in, that guarantees that's all that can go in that box. Nothing else can be in those boxes, a 7 and a 5. All right, moving on to the 4. That blocks that one, that blocks that one, so that's our 4. Doesn't seem that helpful, but if you notice, it actually took out our other possibility for 8, so now we know that's the 8. Oops, that one's going to be the 8, and then because that one's going to block out our other possibility for the 7, that's going to be our 7. So it did answer quite a few questions. This blocks that, so we now know that 4 has to be in that row, which means that row and that row are blocked, and that 4 has to be there. We now know that this column and this column are blocked, so the 4 has to be one of those 2. We don't know which yet until we look over here and see that the 4 has to be one of those 2, which is in the same row. That blocks out that row, so that 4 has to be there. Now this row and this row are blocked. This one is blocked from that, so we know that has to be that 4, and we have the matching set of notes, which again is a good sign that you have noted correctly. So columns, this 3 knocks out that column, this 3 knocks out that column, this 3 knocks out that row. That's the only possible 3 left. This knocks out that row, this knocks out that row. That's the only 3 left. These 2 columns, this row, leaves only that as a possibility for a 3. On to the 2s. This knocks out that row, and this knocks out that column, which means that our 2 has to be there, which is good because that knocks out that entire column. That means that 2 has to be in one of those 2. This knocks out that. this 2 knocks out this row. So that means this 2 has to be in one of those 2. Because both of those are in the same row, we know that they have to be, that row is already covered by a 2. So that cannot be a 2, and that must be the 2. And then that leaves us with, this is knocked out, that's knocked out. So it's a 3. And again, you see how that is covering those 2 columns along with that one. And this is covering those 2 rows along with that one. So again, we have that matched note-taking set right there. This knocks out that row. This knocks out that row. This knocks out that column. And there's my 1. This knocks out this column, forcing the 1 to be in that row, which means that row's knocked out and that row's knocked out, and this has to be the 1. Now, you see, one of those has to be a 1. Look, if you look at the notes, there's 2 9s there too. So we hit the 9s, and sure enough, one of those 2 has to be a 9. I don't know which one's the 1 and which one's the 9, but I do know that one of them's a 1 and the other one's a 9, which means that I can count up and see what this would be. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing the 7. I have an 8, and one of those is the 9. So I guarantee that this is now a 7. Again, because I have 2 numbers that have to be in 2 squares, even though, oops, I don't know which one it is. I don't know which one's the 1, which one's the 9. I do know that 1 is the 1 and the other is the 9. Okay, so I see a 5 all by itself up there, which tells me that that's blocked. And there's that 5, and there's that 5. Now, again, I have a square. It only has one thing left. I can count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's missing. It's 9. So there's my 9. And now I know this 9 has to be in that column. Also, I know that this cannot be a 9 because of that. So this 9 has to be in that row. Now, because of my matched note-taking, I know that one of these has to be a 9 and one of these has to be a 9. So if the 9 is here, then this 9 is here. And if this 9 is here, then this 9 is here. But either way, those 2 columns are covered, with a 9. There are no other 9s that can be in this column or this column, which means that those columns are knocked out and this has to be the 9. Another way to look at it, here, let me reverse that. Another way to look at it is there cannot be a 9 here, there cannot be a 9 here, there has to be a 9 here. That then made that one clear. That knocks out that row, and there's my 9, and here's my 9. And all I'm left with is that one matched set. Don't know which is which, but I know that the 9s fall into those 2 rows. Okay, on to 8s, because I see a solo 8 right here. See, there's only 2 left. That can't be, so that's that, which then knocked out this one. That one was already knocked out, making that that. That's knocked out, so that's that. These 2 are knocked out by that. This is knocked out by that. There's my 8. These 2 are knocked out by that 8. This one's knocked out by that 8. There's my 8. And then that entire row is knocked out, so that has to be my 8. I see my solo 4 up there. I'm going to take it, which then knocked out that 4. And now I know where that 4 is, which then knocked out the other 9 possibility. So I know I can skip back to the 9s, and then that knocks out that one, making that 9 a possibility. Now, if you're doing this in paper and pencil, all of those possibilities getting knocked out are not as easy as when they're highlighted, obviously, in an electronic game. But it's the same idea. You take notes, and when you place one, you have to erase all the possibilities from that column and from that row. So when I place this 7, I would have to erase any other 7s marked in this square, in this row, in this column, because that's how you play the game. Once you place one, you have to erase the other ones that would be incompatible with that. This game does that for me, which is nice. This is the only possibility left for a 7. That blocks out those 2. There's that 7. These 2 rows are now blocked out. Well, that one was already done, so, but that blocks out this row. This column is blocked out, so there's my 7. This one is blocked out a couple different ways. This one's blocked out by that. So there's my only one left for a 7. So on to my 2, just that one, because that's blocked. This is blocked here, that's blocked there, that's a 2. Now that and that are blocked by that and that. So there's my 2. On to my 6s. That's a no, so that's a yes. Now that's a no, so that's a yes. Now that's a no, so that's a yes. And my 1s fill in the spaces that are left.